those of you that were able to make it so far, I want to thank you for braving the traffic and the weather. I've heard, I keep getting emails coming in saying that I'm stuck. Please don't kick me out, don't shut the doors, but we won't. So all are welcome. But I do appreciate you braving all that to come in here and talk about security related to domestic violence. Very, very important topic. Very, very relevant to all of you and to those of you that are going to attend as well. So just to introduce myself and ourselves, we are Operation Safe Escape, a nonprofit organization that focuses exclusively on the security and the safety aspects related to domestic violence and abuse of all forms. So we work with other organizations, we help provide training, resources, tools, and anything else that we can do in order to make what you guys do a little bit safer. So we're here to support you, essentially. So that's why we're here today. That's why we're here any other time. So we are an all-volunteer organization. So those of us that participate are security professionals working 9 to 5s in a security field, different security disciplines. And so by doing that in our daily job, we're able to maintain kind of that currency of knowledge and then bring that to you guys here as well. So let me ask, kind of a small sample size, so not really a very scientific pool. Have any of you ever felt in danger related to your job?
All the time.
Okay. So threatened, maybe that there's some sort of threat out there. And the reality is that that's true. That those that you work with, those that work with you, yourselves, and everything else, you're in a very, very, sometimes a difficult position. And it's an unfair position for you to be in. The reality is that abuse is about what? Essentially, is power, right? Control. And you guys, and those that are still on the way as well, are the ones that are essentially taking control and giving it back to the person who deserves it, which makes you the bad guy from that perspective, which makes you the one that the abuser says, you're breaking up my family. I've heard that myself from the work that I'm doing. You break up families. I've gotten death threats. I've gotten nasty emails and everything else because essentially when you are taking control away from someone that thrives on that control over another person, that puts you in a dangerous situation. So that's why we're here. We're here to make what you do a little bit safer. We're here to support you, provide for you. Whatever we can do, we're here to do to help you do your job a little bit easier, a little safer. So we are a nonprofit initiative, all volunteer security professionals. Everything that we do is free. This is free, with the exception of your traffic and your parking and everything else. That's just our charter, is to make sure we do that for free for you guys. We'll never charge money for anything that we do because it's part of what we are here to provide for you. Because quite frankly, you have better things to do with your funds than to pay for security. We've talked to people who we kind of feel it's an unfair situation to be in, where they've had to make the choice between learning these new security skills and trying to stay current and funding the shelter that they work with or paying the bills. Or some people come out of their pockets to get a security consultant to come out and teach them why their safe house or their shelter just got compromised, which happens. It happens. So our goal is to stop that without making you use your other resources for it. So we do have the tools, we have the training, we have consulting services. Once again, just whatever we can do for you. We are standing up a security portal, which we'll talk about in a second, which is for verified people in positions like yours to have access to greater information, threat analysis, online training, other types of tools, downloads, and everything else. So that's coming up soon. We'll talk more about that here in just a second. So our goal is very, very simple, is to ultimately help people escape their abuser. Operation Safe Escape, it's right in the name. So our goal is to help that process, and you guys are a very, very important part of that, wherever you guys are coming from. A lot of social workers here, a lot of shelter and safe houses, therapists, and everything else. You all play an important role in helping us do what we're trying to do, but ultimately we're on the same side, trying to help these individuals get out. I'd like to, at your convenience, check out goaskrose.com about us. Just Go Ask Rose. That's our public-facing portal where we have information for primarily individuals and for those like you who are working to combat domestic violence in any form, in which we have security guides online. It's called Go Ask Rose because it doesn't stand out in a search history. A lot of times what we found, we take feedback, we reconfigure what we do, and we try to make things a little bit safer in each and every way. Where some of the information that's out there online is not written from a security perspective, it's written from an expeditionary perspective, trying to make things happen quickly. But speed and security often don't work well together, right? So if someone forgets to clear their browser history, the goal is rather than saying escapedomesticviolence.org, something doesn't stand out a little bit more. But however, there is information on that website you can point people to, teaches them how to clear out their phone. If their phone keeps getting hacked, if their social media keeps getting hacked, whatever else the process is, it tries to make it very clear-cut how to work through that process. We'd like to introduce you to the security portal. That's coming soon. It's still being developed, hoping to get that done within the next 30 days or so. But you are free. If you wanted more information, you can sign up for it now. It'll make an account for you. Once again, always free. And then once it's done, we'll go ahead and approve those, let you in, and everything else. It has different tabs, have different single sign-on for e-learning, where we have different courses put on there. The concept's kind of like a masterclass type process where we have people that are doing security full-time, sharing their information. We have a video, hopefully we'll be able to get to that sometime today, where a full-time physical security professional helped us put together a video about for specifically people escaping domestic violence, getting into an apartment, how to evaluate it, how to know if that apartment's safe, how to put simple processes in place that will make it a little bit safer if it's not. So the whole goal is to balance the security, the cost, make things a little bit easier, safer for everybody. So the purpose of the conference, the reason that we're here is, number one, we want to provide timely and relevant security information based on real-world threats. So things that you actually face, feedback that we've gotten as far as what people are actually seeing out there, things that are actually impacting you. So trying to make that relevant to what you're doing and give you some actionable skills, actionable information that you need to improve your security posture. And then also an opportunity, because it's a two-way conversation. So it's an opportunity where you guys can share your concerns, find out what's affecting you guys, and then that'll kind of inform us what we need to be doing differently and providing differently to you. There's a little board out front if you got a chance. There's a couple questions on there. What security questions do you have? What training do you need? If you need something, write it on there. We'll do it. We'll do it, and we'll make it available to you as well. We want to continue to connect. The goal is to connect the security community, because there's a vibrant security community. It exists out there. A lot of people doing IT work, a lot of people doing physical security assessments, penetration tests, and everything else. And the goal is to connect what they're doing with what you're doing. And it's a bridge. When you have the conversation, people are saying, this makes a lot of sense. Let's continue to do that. So it's just a matter of bridging that gap, and that's what we're trying to do. And there's one more. Okay. So just to run through the agenda, because there are some last-minute changes, and I'll talk about from what was sent out before, and then I'll talk about where you can find the current agenda as well. So that's me right here, Chris Cox, talking about the opening remarks. Starting a little late because, once again, traffic. Next, we'll have Colleen Yeschek. Butchered that, I'm sorry, Colleen. Talking about social media security, which is an important topic. How many people work for an organization that have a social media presence of some sort? Most of us do. I mean, when you really think about it, there's Facebook, there's official Twitter accounts. Sometimes we have it as well. There's nothing wrong with social media. Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with social media. The question is, how can you do it securely? It's a great way to share information, great way to connect with your audience, especially with what you guys do. But it's a question about how to do that safely, how to reduce the risk. We'll be talking about open source information spillage and mitigation. I'm really excited about this one. It's talking about the information that can be released about you, information that can be found about you, or your clients and everything else, and what you can do about it. So what happens when you have information that gets out there that you didn't want to get out there, and how do you respond to that? We'll stop for lunch at a certain point. Then we come back, we talk about helping clients establish secure communications. That's an important one. That's kind of a first step. That's fundamental, foundational, and that's a really big part of what we try to do in terms of setting up those initial secure communications. Because when someone finds out that their loved one, their friend, their relative, or whatever else, is in an abusive situation, they say, oh, call the hotline, or call a shelter, or go to this website. Well, if they're told every single day, I can see every phone call you make, I can see every website you go to, how do they do it? They say, how do I do it without getting caught? So that's what we're going to be talking about here. So when someone does reach out to you, you can have some information that they need in order to try to do so again safely and securely. We'll be talking about the title. Zoe, I'm sorry, what is the title again? The person I wish I was?
No, the person I needed.
The person I needed, which is kind of a journey through recovery and from other security concepts that should have been made available a very, very long time ago, that are becoming available now. And a little bit of a touch on Internet of Things. Anyone know what Internet of Things is? Internet of Things is the way that we're starting to put the Internet in everything. You know, you can connect to your thermostat sometimes online. Do you think abusers use that? Absolutely, absolutely. So talking about that and how to mitigate that. Alarm systems, right, security cameras, it happens all the time. Microwaves spying on us. Coming back at 3:30, we'll have Special Agent Peter Lapp talking about run, hide, fight, something I hope you guys never need to know, but talking about what to do in the event of an active shooter. You may have had active shooter training before, something that comes up once in a while as far as annual training. I like the way, I've seen Special Agent Lapp's presentation. I think it's a great twist, a great perspective on it. Really kind of a different way of looking at things that I like a lot. And then at the end, I think it's the end of the day for day one, we'll have advanced phishing protection. No longer with Jim Hansen. There's a last-minute replacement, the name I forget at the moment. But they're with a company called Cofense, which does phishing training and everything else. They're going to come and talk about how to detect phishing. And that's when someone sends an email, looks like it's official, but they're just trying to get other information as well. Used surprisingly often in abusive situations, where someone's looking for their spouse who left, and so they start trying to figure out where they went, get information. So let me come back tomorrow at day two, theoretically at 9:30, where we'll start talking again, but we'll see how traffic goes. Theoretically, hypothetically, metaphorically, 9:30. So we'll be coming up with finding and removing personal information online. That's kind of a big one. That's an important one to talk about because our personal information is all over the place. And so these individuals, that's what they specialize in, is trying to find it, how to remove it, get into the information clearinghouses and start to take that offline, and different ways that you can do that. Huge concerns for people that have left abusive situations. They're saying, well, wait a second, I didn't put my information in this website, but now my address is showing up again. What do I do about it? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then we're going to get into information sharing and security, particularly involved with law enforcement, kind of the interface between what you guys do, law enforcement agencies, and how the information sharing can work a little more efficiently in that way. Then we'll be getting into counter surveillance and surveillance detection. This is particularly relevant to those who are with safe houses and shelters and things like that, where they may pick up the individual. Rather than give away their address, they may pick up the individual. I'm sorry?
Oh, no.
Okay. But then how do you know if you're not being followed? How can you tell if someone's trying to follow you to that location? Are sometimes people that are picked up claiming to be abuse victims, are they potentially affiliated with the abuser, looking for somebody? That happens. That has happened. And so there's some things you need to try to figure out as far as how you can mitigate those risks. And Rebecca's going to do a wonderful job talking about that. Then we're going to get into spouseware and cell phone tracking. I'm not going to spoil anything with this, but this one's really, really exciting. They're with a company called Lookout, and they do mobile security, and that's a big piece of what they do. And these two particular researchers, these individuals, they have been able to track down a company that does that. They make this for a living. Tools where you can actually install it on your quote-unquote loved one's phones, and you can see everything they're doing. You can see what emails they're sending, you can see where the phone is, you can see the pictures. Turn on the microphone if you want to. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, how they cracked into one of the companies that does that for a living, and what can be done to mitigate that as well. Then we'll get into threat and mitigation pairing, and we'll end the day, time permitting, unless I move it somewhere else because someone was caught in traffic all day, talking about something called operations security and how that can help us to protect information. So I do invite you to use your phones. I do invite you to bring them out and do whatever you want to with them because we have an interactive agenda where on that agenda it gives you the schedule that we just went through. You can look at a couple of the bios. There's a chat function where if you want to chat with your fellow attendees, you can talk about what you're seeing. You can ask questions on there as well. It'll route it directly to us, and we'll get a chance to answer those questions throughout the presentation or respond or whatever else the case may be. So once again, do get on your phone, do get on the agenda, and it'll help you follow along with what we're doing there as well. Also follows with the tweets. We are using the DVSSC2018 hashtag, so feel free to tweet for that because we'll be talking about that quite a bit. Ms. Samantha Sam Dombach here is our social media person. She's a lot smarter at it than me. So she'll be keeping people informed if they're following along on the Twitterverse. And feel free to join in with that as well. The process for certification and also email, you can email anytime, info@goaskrose.com. That goes directly to a few of us. They'll be able to answer your questions, point you in the right direction, and get you where you need to go. The process for certification, some of you have requested for attendance certifications. Just email that if you require one, and it'll come back with a certificate of attendance as well, validating your attendance. We are getting mixed answers from the state and the city and the county as far as what counts as CEUs for social workers if they require them. So we're trying to sort through that as well. But we are hearing initially it counts, initially it might not, initially we have to do this other process. So we're still sorting through that, but you will get a certificate of attendance and we will be able to confirm how to make that count. We're going to find a way so that it does count. What that process looks like is a question mark at this time. And then, of course, the website is goaskgrows.com for the reasons that we talked about before. A few organizations that I would like to thank very, very briefly because they help very, very much. The VPN company Private Internet Access, they helped us quite a bit with funding. They helped us to put this on for free, afford everything else that we were putting in place. So I'm grateful for Private Internet Access. CoFence, they provided some training that we are making available through the portal later on. And of course, they sent a couple speakers our way to talk as well, which is much appreciated. And then NetSpy with some logistics support. And SnowFence, I wish I had a better logo for SnowFence, but they do penetration testing. They're really helping us out a lot with, if you're familiar with physical penetration testing, figuring out how a good guy can break into your building before a bad guy does. And so her company is helping us out with training, information, making that available to you as well. And then finally, EMC Squared Travel, the nice, very, very nice lady that you met at the front. She's with EMC Squared Travel, and they help with some checking in, logistics, and volunteer support as well. And I do also want to thank you guys for coming. I want to thank you guys for what you do on a daily basis. I know it's not easy work. I know that it's stressful, and I know that it's quite frankly dangerous. So I appreciate what you're doing for other people. I know that many of you have dedicated your lives to doing that. So again, we're here to support you in any way because what you guys do is important. So